Opening statements are set to begin tomorrow in the manslaughter trial of Jackson's doctor. Prosecutors say Dr. Conrad Murray committed criminal negligence, giving Jackson a deadly dose of a powerful anesthetic, propofol.
Murray's attorneys, though, may actually try to turn the trial around and make it perhaps more about Jackson's life instead of his death. Here to take a look at what we can expect in the high-profile case, CBS News legal analyst Jack Ford. Jack, always nice to have you here with us. One of the things I know Jim and I have been talking a lot about this morning is the jury itself. Let's start with that, because when you talk about having an impartial jury, it would probably be tough to find anybody in this country who didn't have some sort of an opinion on Michael Jackson, even though he's not the one on trial.
The thing about impartial jurors, and people don't understand this completely, the idea is not that you have to be able to say, I know nothing about a case in order to be a juror, because the reality is, especially with high-profile cases nowadays and all the media platforms out there, that's not going to happen. So the standard is, even if you know something about a case, if you can satisfy the judge and the lawyers on both sides that you haven't irretrievably made up your mind, you can still sit as a juror. So every one of these jurors said, yeah, I know a lot about Michael Jackson, yeah, I know a lot about this case, but I still want to hear both sides before I decide whether I would say guilty or not guilty. So that allows them to serve as jurors.
So defense lawyers are going to have a choice to make here about how much of Michael Jackson's life to sort of put on trial. What's the calculus there?
I think they're going to see a lot of Michael Jackson. You know, the prosecution's going after the defense is going after Michael Jackson. They have to. Because the defense here is saying, look, I, Dr. Murray, was doing what I thought was right here. Yes, he needed some care and treatment. I was trying to wean him off of all of these medications. So the defense will argue, he's a grown man. We can't be responsible for everything he does every minute of his day. And you're going to see them, as a consequence of this, they're going to have to go after him. They'll have to do it delicately, but they're going to have to go after him. We've already seen signs that they're going to be taking a look at his physical condition, his emotional and mental condition leading into this. Some way, shape, or form, the defense has to go after Michael Jackson.
What are the risks there for the defense?
Always a risk, Jim. You know, you don't want to make jurors say, you don't want to alienate jurors by making them say, why are they attacking this person? But here's the reality inside of a courtroom. It's a little bit different than if you have a victim sitting there and the jurors are looking at the victim. Michael Jackson, sadly, tragically, not there. So as a defense attorney, you can do a little bit more challenging a victim when the jurors are not sitting there looking at him, maybe feeling sorry for the victim inside of the courtroom.
Are there any limits in terms of what could be brought up? Because, you know, and you talked a little bit about this in terms of the jurors having an idea of who Michael Jackson was, because it does figure into the case. We've heard a lot of interesting details about his life. Any limits on what could be brought up?
The judge has already said, look, this is not an open day to take all your shots at Michael Jackson. You know, the prosecution has to prove, remember, it's not a murder, it's not intentional. Prosecution has to prove that Dr. Murray engaged in an act consciously disregarding a high risk of death, right? That's the standard here. The defense is going to say he didn't consciously disregard any risk. He was trying medically to take care of them. So, as we said before, they're going to come after Michael Jackson. The judge has already said, not open season, not everything about Michael Jackson is coming into this case. You'll be allowed to make some arguments, but the judge will take a careful look at what the jury's going to be hearing here.
This is going to be an interesting week.
It's always interesting.
Jack Ford, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.